right then, so my director just made me so excited, and I thought that tomorrow we're not working. Well, we're working, except that today is the last day AM show for 2025. So that tomorrow when we come, we are re-energized. Thank you so much for making 2025 an amazing year. I'm Emma Fakusiaditi. Thank you for joining us. This is the AM show, 31st day of 2025. And this morning, to review the news, I've got Dr. Dixon Adomako Kissi, his former MP Anya Sorutuum, spokesperson for Dr. Brian Achampong, and as well Dr. Ekokwenu, his MP Ekumfi, and Richard Koshiga, his board member, NMC, and as well lecturer, UPSC. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. How's your 2025 been, Doc?
Well, it's been a roller coaster.
Has it?
Roller coaster, but I'm glad I'm here for the last day of the year, and especially on this show. And may I take this opportunity to wish all of your viewers, you have a huge following, a happy new year in advance, and all the churchgoers and the Iriasi forces, I wish them well. I think one of the highlights largely would be the loss of our dearly departed ones, including the likes of our ministers of state. And other than that, I think it's been a, quite good year.
Do you miss Parliament?
To some extent. I don't miss the early morning phone calls and demands, but other than that, I miss the work of Parliament, yeah.
Well, Doc, you as well. Have you been 2025 been okay? How's the constituency doing?
Well, good morning to everyone. I think it's been a rather interesting one. Constituency is doing well. It's always the politics of the day. So you always have to adjust yourself definitely to that. But I think that generally this year has been very, very important for Ghana. The reset is happening for me. I think that a lot of things are changing, and ultimately I see the benefit to Ghanaians, which I'm also part. So definitely I would want to say that it's been a good year, and my expectation is that even next year will even be better for all of us, including Ghanaians as well. So I'm hopeful. I remain hopeful.
I'd go to Zoom and as well take Richard's comments. Richard, have you had a good 2025? Kindly unmute if you can hear me. We'll try again. If you can hear me, tell me about your 2025.
Hello?
That's clear.
Hello?
Yes.
Great. Good morning. And good morning to your viewers and listeners across the nation. And to the two honorable members in the studio, good morning.
Morning.
I must say 2025 has been a great year. It started on a very good note, very promising, and largely appears that Ghanaians are very excited about the way things are happening compared to the previous year. So one optimistically can say that 2025 has been good, and it's come to an end virtually today, which obviously seemed to be on a very good note. And I would use that point to wish you a Happy New Year in advance, and Happy New Year in advance to all Ghanaians. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you as well, and a Happy New Year to you too. Doc, I heard you giggling.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I don't know whether you were giggling something on your phone or at what he said.
Well, good morning to him as well. But, the year, generally, it depends on where you're sitting to a large extent. I must admit, overall, post-COVID, we're expecting some gains, which we're seeing, in addition to some initiatives of the current administration, which is largely a discontinuation of many huge projects of the previous administration. And I must admit to there that some of us thought that we had taken on too many projects as part of our government or our administration. So once you reduce your basket of things to do, then your pressures on the local financing, pressures on borrowing also reduces. So I'm not too surprised, except for the fact that all of these pressure reductions, the climax of it has been job losses in this country. And if we truly capture the quantum of job losses by virtue of direct layoffs by this new administration, to the extent that they even laid off a CJ, then you can appreciate the fact that this year, for some people who were laid off, and some were on block. I mean, I chanced on a letter from the AMA, chanced on a letter from, I think, National Service Secretariat, which just laid off a chunk of people, regardless of their pedigree, regardless of their educational background, except for the fact that they had decided that new government, new people. And I think this path of new government doing away with very skilled, technical, trained people on the job won't endure to the benefit of this country. And I think he agrees to this in the sense that, listen, there were people who we came to meet in government and maintained. And
there
by virtue...
layoffs. There weren't any layoffs.
Oh, we did some. Ill-advised. We did some. Ill-advised. And you know, two wrongs never made a right. So I was thinking that with the reset agenda and the 12 or 24-hour economy, we're going to see more jobs. Rather, we've been scandalized, at least for me, for the first year of the NDC. When it comes to job creation, I think we've been scandalized, because if you were going to introduce more shifts or more hours, then why rather, you know, lay off people? We thought you'd be...
Maybe they laid them off because they're going to employ them?
That's the most ridiculous thing, though.
Doesn't make economic sense, huh?
It doesn't make transactional sense. I mean, those items of, you know, reapply is literally, you know, go home and sleep.
But it costs the country money to employ. If they don't have money to pay you, what's the point being employed if the government cannot pay you? This
is one government that I've been ridiculing a little bit, in the sense that, listen, though we had some taxes, all the taxes go into the consolidated fund, and then money is fungible, so you get to decide where to take, who to give, how much. I mean, the budget always prescribes an amount, but what is actually released is always different. So you take away COVID taxes when you haven't paid nurses and doctors for many months. You take away COVID taxes by the virtue of the fact that it's named COVID, except for the fact that the real content of the levy and the things that it's supposed to help are not necessarily COVID as a disease, but the healthcare infrastructure and things related to providing adequate care. Our ambulances have tire issues, some are without oxygen in them, and it's quite shameful that something that is adding to our health budget is rather taken off by virtue of the fact that we think that, one, if even the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration misappropriated the funds from the COVID levy, you are at liberty now that you're in power. Once you're getting that revenue, you, this government, you are at liberty to appropriate it how you see or deem fit.
Okay, let me come back.
So it's one of the unfortunate bits.
When I come back to you, my question then will be, won't the uncapping of the NHIL, you know, cure all of these excesses when I come to you? But I want to take your response, because you initially said that you're seeing the research. How do I then reconcile that about 1.3 million young people are unemployed as well? And then plus what he's just said, that a number of people have been laid off. How do I reconcile with this research?
Well, I mean, if you look at the extent to which the economy was left before the NDC took over, I mean, you would agree with me that unemployment stood about 14.5%, which is one of the highest we've seen. About 1.4 million youths were unemployed. Now, coming into 2025, the reset agenda began to take shape, where government was trying to rediscover the economy and also put it on the right track. So definitely, a lot of things would take a bit of time for things to happen. This year has seen quite a number of changes. If you look at the abolition of certain taxes that were creating issues for the country, let's say e-levy, all these emissions taxes and all sorts of taxes were removed. All these were geared at making the Ghanaian much more okay in terms of the life they're living. But let me remind you, in one of the reports from the IMF during the previous administration, due to the management of the economy, 800,000 people were sent below the poverty line. I'm sure my brother probably would have forgotten that. But, I mean, clearly...
this was between what period?
I think that was the IMF report as at between 2020 and 2022, thereabout.
No, but it hasn't been reviewed. So
yes, but in that particular year, single year, 800,000 people were sent below the poverty line.
We don't know what it is now.
And that was, for me, a very, very huge impact that we had seen at the time. But the truth be told, I mean, yes, the economy is on track. I think it's important that we also look at where we've come from. We were in this country where, I mean, depreciation was a normal trend as far as this country was concerned. In the era of the NPP, I think they left off around 27%. Today, inflation around 6.3%. Exchange rates, we are seeing it for the first time, 35% appreciation.
Are you mindful of the challenges the previous government faced, Elise?
Well,
COVID,
I mean, yes, they had challenges.
The entire global economy.
I mean, challenges were always
yeah.
It's how you manage it that makes the difference. If you look
how do I measure? Do you have challenges now?
Well,
people say that Trump is president, and so it puts the global economy into a certain comfortable lane for the NDC government to enjoy. Not just Ghana, anyway.
I mean, every era has its own issues. I mean, COVID came. However, I mean, you would agree with me that the COVID funds we received as a country, it was clearly not applied to the extent of benefiting Ghana in the economy. I mean, over time, when even COVID had been done with, we kept paying COVID levy until this government came and literally repealed that COVID levy to the extent that now at least our bills we are paying have reduced to an extent. I mean, it's clear. So in terms of the economy, a lot has changed. I think that the Central Bank, Ministry of Finance have done a great job. It's all about collaboration. In the past, we didn't see that. In the past, what we saw was policy rates literally being used to correct things, whilst today, it's changed. The policy rate is rather chasing interest rates, as it were. Interest rates are doing 12%, previously 30%. Now today, Ghana reference rate has dropped from, I mean, getting to 30%. Today, it's 15.9. Clearly, the Ghanaian can borrow at a much lower rate and do more business. Exchange rate is, appreciated. People can plan, can do more business. A lot of things have worked well for us. But I think that the previous government took Ghana to the debt exchange program, which was something very, very unfortunate. A lot of people suffered as a result of that. And I think that, fortunately, today, people are so confident that they say that even if you change the finance minister, they'll be worried.
Are you making some gains from the exposure of our economy to gold prices? Are you making some gains?
Oh, definitely.
Sustainable gains?
Definitely.
Are there consequences?
With the advent of the gold board, right, I mean, Ghana has seen quite a chunk of foreign exchange coming to Ghana. People will say that they use...
And huge damage to the environment.
Well, I mean, if you talk about damage to the environment, I mean, your government clearly lost it when it came to issues of Galamsey. I don't even want to go there. I mean, if I mention Akonta mining, clearly you know what's happening within the legal system.
One out of many.
Oh, just one, but the impact was big. So clearly you cannot run away from that. The truth of the matter is this president has demonstrated that he's willing and ready to fight to make sure this is corrected. Yes, it's taking a bit of time, but I believe that it's a gradual process. I would wish that it would stop in one day. However, because of challenges that people have faced in the past, they find it much more economically prudent to stay there. But gradually, I think that with all these measures that are being put in place, we might see some changes as far as this Galamsey issue is concerned.
I see that you want to respond, especially because we've been introduced to the gold conversation. But let me go on Zoom and then just engage Richard as well. Tell me, so you've heard as well from Dr. Dixon and you've heard as well from Dr. Queno. Which one do you want to respond to?
Well, I think that clearly, as to whether the economy is doing well or not, within the 1-year administration of the Mahama government, depends on who is speaking. But I think when we speak, we must actually be concrete with evidence. I think that Dr. Dixon made references to challenges, unemployment, people being removed from their workplaces and all, without necessarily giving us any evidential proof to that. But that notwithstanding, I must say that the Ghanaian people are the best judges as to whether what he said or what the other MP from the country said is the reality.
But are you mindful of the Ghana statistical data that says that 1.3 million young people are unemployed or underemployed? Does it mean anything at all?
That did not start today. That data is not referring to the immediacy. I mean, obviously, the unemployment situation has been with us for some time, and we saw it worsened under the Nana Addo government. But then, even if that is the case, we must look at what your own interviews this morning captured, talking to people on the streets, in the markets, lorry drivers and all. It was clear from their own testimonies that more than 70%, if that is a microcosm of the Ghanaian population, more than 70% think that this government has started on a very good note and that the economy has largely been liberalized and they are feeling it in their pockets. I mean, basically that's what it is. So I would not want to belabor the point, and I would not want to delve into the politics of things this morning. Of course, the two gentlemen who are current members of parliament obviously will be doing the politics. But I think that sitting back here, sitting where I am, I think that things are going very well. And it's just 1 year in government by the Mahama administration. And the reset agenda obviously seemed to be resonating with the majority of the Ghanaian people. We will only believe in self-denial if we say that the economy has not improved compared to last year, and we also believe in self-denial to say that everything is more like a knife cutting through butter.
I'm also not interested in the politics, but I'm interested in the economics of the conversation, where a year ago we won't confidently say that the economy was quite exposed to gold prices. But today we can say that. How sustainable are the gains that you're claiming? How sustainable are they?
Of course, yes, they are sustainable as long as we are strategic as a people, as a government. Of course, you can make reference to what you said to be something that has just happened. Yes, but in the same vein, if that should, as it were, suffer a backtrack, there must be obviously strategic approaches, to keep the economy on track. And I think that is what the Minister of Finance largely has been doing. We've seen the strategic approaches that have been adopted, as it were, to make things work. And, when we say we are strategic, what do we mean? We mean that you always have flexibility in your approaches to doing things such that if one area suffers a shock, you are able to, as it were, quickly adapt, and move forward and get things rolling without necessarily feeling the impact, the negative impact so much. So
is this government in any way enjoying any of the policies that were started or were initiated by the previous government at all?
Of course, government is a continuum. Government is a continuum. So in the same way, when you take over the reins of governance, you are inheriting assets and liabilities. And clearly, there are some very good things that were started in the previous government, of which this current government is continuing. In the same vein, projects that were started by the previous administration are being continued by this very government. Okay. And therefore, it is a moot point to say that well, this government is continuing some of the good programs of the previous administration.
Okay.
In the same vein, it has also inherited liabilities that they are dealing with and finding strategic approaches in addressing them.
Back in studio, I'll come to you, Dixon. I know that you wanted to respond to a few things.
Okay, so one thing we must be mindful of. When you remove e-levy and bring a levy of 1 Ghana at the fuel station, let Ghanaians know that you're actually billing us more, okay? I admit that...
A replacement won't be more.
Well, the percentages, clearly, the NDC knows that the 1 Ghana...
1 cedi was a flat rate.
Yes. That 1 cedi at... Mind you, the basket is bigger.
Okay.
Considering the mobile money users and the fuel users in this country, the volume, quantum of fuel used in this country, the basket is bigger.
Was it a justifiable levy that was
My key point here is that they've removed that, they slapped us with something else. You bring in Mahama Cares after removing COVID levy. I mean, listen, that's my key point here. You can relabel things, but let Ghanaians know, okay, that we're relabeling some of these tax handles. And it comes back to my key point that, listen, what do we really want to achieve? And beyond politicking, beyond propagandering, okay, we're in a situation here, doctors and nurses are leaving the country. We're in a situation where you can't meet bills. And I mean, this is very obvious. Nurses have been picketing and things like that. So I'm not, it's not me saying
it's not a very peculiar when there's a new government, especially...
we had picketing before. But
there's a new government, people want to be heard.
For him to say that I'm speaking without evidence, I mean, people have been laid off and there's enough news about it in the news domain. I don't need to even provide that evidence. But one of the key things, Galamsey, which he spoke about, is rather interesting that somebody who was touting and hammering on the fact that we need to, as it is, call a state of emergency, is now the kingpin of gold reserves in this country. And I, for that matter...
Is that wrong? A kingpin of gold reserves?
Oh, I mean, what other technical...
Because you're going to have gold in reserve. And that's what we have. That's what the country is thriving on.
Okay, so let me be more clear. Gold board, okay? Now, my biggest thing is that I feel that when we're looking at externalities, gold board is a reservoir of both illegal mined gold and legal. And that cannot be, disputed until they can tell me that they can trace every gold that they have. Now, as far as I'm concerned, looking at the revenue, the quantum of supposed monies that they've generated this year, and then the ordinary Ghanaian whose water plants, treatment plants have been destroyed by illegal mining, and then to slap us with 9% increment to then go deal with that, I think is unfair. I really think that government should have rather told Gold Board that, listen, as part of your corporate social responsibility, use those large sums of money to offset some of these debt on many of the water plants in this country, so that the average Ghanaian who's not mining, who's not, pumping mercury into our system can be relieved.
Let me understand the request. Is it that you'd want Gold Board to directly be responsible when they make some money in the treatment of our water bodies or in the fight against Galamsey? Because then when Gold Board makes the profit or when they make money, it goes to our big basket, and then the government decides where they want to apportion it. Or you want a direct responsibility?
This should be direct. I think that the activities of mining, nobody can dispute its damage to our water bodies as it stands now. Erasmus, other people have made it open. So my key point is that when the oil industry has leakages at sea, they pay for the damages at sea. They are sued and they paid fines. So that's direct. They don't say that, oh, your taxes from your oil industry will go to the chest and eventually come and clean the sea. There's a direct cost. And I think that there should be a direct slap, because right now, one of the critical things in our country is safe, affordable drinking water. And as it stands now, I'm not here necessarily to say that, oh, this all started in one day, but it's been proven that the turbidity of our water bodies have worsened over the past 9 months. And that comes my key point that, listen, mining was there, we had issues under the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, but strangely, turbidity was better last year compared to this year.
That I can agree.
And that literally tells us that the activities, whether we like it or not, whether legal or illegal, have worsened our water systems to the extent that minerals are being seen in, traces of minerals are being seen in our yam, our kontomire. In fact, these days when you go to a restaurant and you're requesting for kontomire, you're a bit worried because you don't know where the kontomire is coming from. And the fact that you might walk away and be ill in a month or two. So Doc, I think that these are my thoughts. And then to conclude, forgive me, MFR, I must admit on air that the indices are not the only measure of economic wellness in a country. And this NDC's focus on just FX is worrying because many people do not even trade in dollars or pounds or euros.
Does it not have a rippling effect? If you don't
it does, but what I'm saying is that many people in this country, many of the traders have not even seen dollar before. Okay,
you don't have to see it, but it has a way.
I appreciate what I'm saying, that many, the NDC's focus on just FX, that is not the only thing about economics. We're looking at rental cost. Your well-being in this country is not just FX. So I'll plead with them that in as much as they are focused largely on just making sure, whether through pumping dollars or whatever, they need to be mindful. And then let me add that people's ability to cash out their dollars or get their dollars from banks has been limited. And sometimes what I'm hearing, stories I'm hearing, people go to bank, it takes about 3 days before they get their money to do transaction outside. So that real issue.
Because the banks say that they would request on your behalf, but it won't be, I won't do the PR for the banks.
There are two issues, and I think that those have to be addressed.
So in your responses, one of the things some of the answers I want to hear from you would be that, is it true? Because we're not tracking the gold. When people advance the argument that largely Gold Board is trading in illegal gold, or it would indirectly illegal mining.
Well, thank you. But I want to say on record that I think the CEO of Gold Board has indicated that, I mean, we need to work to an extent that we can actually be able to pinpoint exactly where every gold we are buying is coming from. Yes.
He's still buying gold already, well, so.
He does not necessarily have, let's say, a choice at this point. It's a way of trying to highlight where the trajectory is going as far as gold purchases are concerned. And I think it's not wrong for him to do that because he's seen that it's a bottleneck probably they have and probably they need to improve on that.
But we have two pressing issues. Illegal mining is happening. It's been happening even before he was appointed.
Yes.
The position he was appointed to. Mm-hmm. So why did we not start dealing with it before we start making the
If I buy stolen gold,
but the truth is,
I'm corporate for it.
2024, 2025, UAE, Ghana's exports of gold was $7.1 billion. Now, in our books, it was 4.5 billion. That tells 33% of our exports was unaccounted for. Today, we have been able to put structures in place to be able to ring fence some of these golds that we are exporting. I mean, the truth be told, there are big mining firms and there are small-scale miners. Per the last report I read, I've forgotten exactly which one, but in accumulation, how much we bought from local miners, including whichever you want to call them, has even outweighed how much we are getting from these big mining companies. And mind you, Gold Board was established for a particular reason, not to make profit, but to help us
destroy the environment,
to accumulate reserves. That's one. Two, to support the reserves. Number two, and number three, basically to help to buy, and also export.
At what expense? Beyond the environment, the exposure of the...
You see, if you look at it that way, you might say that then we should allow maybe small-scale miners to smuggle it.
Help me look at it a different way.
Yes, what I'm saying is that if you look at it from that perspective, what you are trying to put across is, yes, miners are mining in Ghana, they are destroying the environment. We should sit unconcerned or probably chase, those that are destroying it. Yes, that's fine. However, if we allow them to do smuggling without being able to ring fence or catch these, gold that they are mining and export, we can make money from the exports and use that money to fix whatever is happening. And
that's a fair argument.
For me, look.
That's my argument.
Hold on.
Let me
finish. I mean, they are responsible institutions that are supposed to do that. The EPA, for that matter, is supposed to be looking into this. And I know that...
It got shot at.
Oh, well, I mean, that's one. I mean...
They got shot at.
But they won't stop their mandate.
Exactly.
I mean, the police get shot at.
The mandate is clear. EPA is a responsible institution to do that. So if you want to go and do that, that's outside of what their mandate is. Their mandate is clearly defined. They make the money, yes, fine. The president has made it clear. NIMOS is working. I mean, there are issues. People have been doing this for years and become accustomed to it. And clearly, they find it difficult to let it be, as it were, even though the distraction to the environment is so huge. So it's a gradual process. I mean, the stability levels you talk about, I'm not privy to that information.
It's factual.
But I'm sure MFR probably knows more than I do here. But the truth of the matter, I know something is being done. Eventually, we'll get to a point where some of these issues we have as far as our water bodies are concerned, to the extent that even the processing facilities are beginning to be shut down and stuff, will probably not be happening like we've seen in some time past. But what excites me is that he mentioned something about the exchange rate. Look, the exchange rate, Ghana's economy, I mean, was largely import dependent.
Was, it still is not.
Yes. So
still largely
anything exchange rate is very critical to us. I mean, the clothes we wear, the food we eat, the cars, everything. So if there's a government who has made it a point to deal with issues of exchange rate, like we are seeing now, first time over many, many years, 35% and above appreciation, it's a reflection of how people's standard of living are going to be affected. So the people can plan, they can do things. In the past, moral suasion was the basis to control exchange rate.
I can't help but recall the energy with which you campaigned with 24-hour economy, which is one of the variables you said you were going to use to cure the importation, create more industrial here in this country. It's 31st day of December 2025.
It was a scam.
If I compare the energy with which the MPP campaigned with free SHS, and in their first year and how they introduced the deliverables, I'm unable to get the same energy with that, because that was your major campaign policy.
24 hours under review.
Isn't it? Because
even those who are preaching it don't understand.
No.
Well, let me hear from him. I ask this because of the argument that our economy is largely dependent on importation.
Even the clubs are not 24 hours, as they promised.
The clubs?
Yes. I mean, it was one of the things that the clubs...
Are you talking about nightclubs or what are you...
Well, I mean, that's even those.
And then the conversation has centered around FX largely. Largely, yes. When you actually gave us hope that you were going to turn the country into an industrial hub. So how do I reconcile the two? So beyond that, maybe my question is, beyond the FX, what are you doing?
I mean, there's a lot of work happening. I mean, if he talks about 24-hour economy...
I am not talking.
No, because you mentioned it. At this particular forum, what you are saying is that
it's been a scam.
Oh no, I completely disagree.
All right.
But you've seen that some fundings have been made available. They've launched it. They've given us thematic areas.
There's a 24-hour secretariat which is responsible for implementation of the 24-hour.
We're yet to see.
Now, the port, for instance, right? The port didn't used to work 24 hours. Today, it's changed.
Is it meeting demand? Is there demand?
Of course there is demand. Okay. There is demand. Definitely, if you go to the port today, I mean, you are able to work seamlessly for the whole period and be able to get your goods out. Demurrage is not an issue now. People go to the port, get their goods out, they're able to do business, and it works for them. Some banks are even doing 24 hours. DVLA has made, oh yes.
Was it the accessibility, or was the taxes that were quite a lot at the port areas?
I mean, the taxes are one issue. I mean, taxes are one issue. Definitely, if you looked at how much tax...
And imports had reduced too. because of the enormous cost on traders. But I must admit, I think...
But the dollar has made it comfortable for them to import.
If you talk about imports, I mean, if your exchange rate is that high, clearly people will not have the muscle to be able to import so much. I mean, we should have been at risk because exchange rate is much lower now, because people will find...
flooded with imports.
Yes.
Okay.
So that, I think that argument may not necessarily stand the test of time. But the truth is, I mean, you can never run away from the exchange rate. It plays a key role. You know, one time, someone was buying coconut, the person said dollar rate in MPP's time. They said the dollar rate had gone up. You wouldn't understand, but truth be told, look, the person who was selling the coconut buys books which are more or less bought with US dollars.
Wow.
So you see, you can never take that dollar discussion out of anything.
Yeah.
But another thing is, let me land.
Okay.
I mean, look, in your time, the country was literally dollarized. Meanwhile, the only legal tender in this country is the cedi. Everything was dollarized. Especially, look at even real estate. Everything was dollarized. Today, the reverse is happening. At some point, it was more valuable to hold your cedis than dollars. So people were running away. Another thing people fail to talk about, that domestic holdings of foreign currency during MPP's time, maybe check the numbers, they were huge. When the currency started appreciating, the quantum of dollars that came to the market, a chunk of it was from individuals and institutions holding dollars.
Would you say that there's enough dollar in the system now?
Oh, I think there's quite.
But why?
Do you know what it is now?
What is it?
The rate is...
not the rate. I'm talking about
availability.
The availability of...
You go and sit in bank for 3 days before you get your money.
Maybe you forget what the gold board
is. That's the situation now.
The gold board has exported over 100 million tons of gold out of Ghana. In terms of the amount of foreign exchange that's come to Ghana, that is a portion of what is being used by the central bank to intervene in the market. They will call it pumping, but it is intervention. It is normal.
Okay,
look, I've been a foreign currency trader for years.
That is not normal because
it is so normal.
IMF and other World Bank leaders will tell you that it's bad for your economy.
Do you know what the reserves are?
Sustainable.
You see,
it's not sustainable.
It is not sustainable when your reserves are telling you that you are below the 3 months of import cover. Today, we have 4.8 months. They left it at 4 months. But they refuse to say it.
But consumers say that if in the past I couldn't afford something, granted, if it's not sustainable, it's even still debatable. If it's not sustainable, and I meant to buy a house last year, it will mean that I would need more money to buy that house last year, but now I would have bought it a lot cheaper.
Yes.
And if the dollar rate increases, they're not going to take my house from me. I'll still own that house. So at least the short period, people enjoy it. Is that not mind? Are you not minded?
The key thing which I was trying to remind him is that this seemingly overly focus on FX alone is not the economy. The economy is about healthcare. The economy is about what's in my pocket. The economy is about the cost of kinky. The economy is about the cost of the fish that goes with the kinky.
Are we not saying the same thing? If I can buy kinky now, what's my business if the government is unable to sustain it now? At least I want to eat today.
We may be saying the same thing, but my key point here is that they've been infatuated with the whole thing about the economy being the FX. And I'm only broadening the whole thing. Now, listen, if I go to my village, I can't talk FX there. My village people are looking at how the tomatoes is coming to Accra. They're looking at, the transport situation. And hopefully, I can admit that the Amasaman Road or river is being sorted out, and we hope that it can be done in due course. Okay. But overall...
that reminds me.
If you permit me, I'll just go to Richard for a moment.
Oh, okay.
Richard. Do I still have Richard?
Yeah, you have me. I'm here.
Okay, so, there's the debates going on as to whether what the government is doing now is sustainable or not. I am of the view that if I can have some relief today, I'm happy as a consumer. But of course, the economists will say that you have to be concerned about tomorrow. In fact, economists have said that, listen, the government is not spending now. They have to, when they start spending, then you, the consumer, would also start feeling it. Do you agree?
Well, it's subjective. It's subjective. It's not a matter of me agreeing or not. I think that largely that's the view of the economists. They're saying that the government is not spending. But How do you spend?
But
You must spend
economics is...
strategically. You must spend on areas that are beneficial, areas that will keep the economy stable and etc. And I think that is at least being done. If it were the case that workers would say that they are not being paid and etc., fine, then we will really have a problem. But today, we are having a scenario and a situation where the economy, obviously, I mean, the evidence abounds and the testimonies abound, not just in Ghana, but Ghanaians outside this country are all, talking about how this economy has actually transformed compared to last year or the previous years. Now, my good friend out there was talking about ethics. Yes, today we are not talking about locking the dollar under police, control and all that. But the dollar itself has imprisoned itself, and that clearly is an indication of a good performing government. Apart from that, we have a scenario where somebody is alluding to the 24-hour economy not working. Why? Does the government claim that it has a magic wand that within a year things will turn around? And more expectedly, we know too well that if you are about coming up with a strategic approach, it must take time. You must prepare it very well.
Would it be fair if you prepare consumers? Would it be fair if government prepared consumers that, listen, I know that you're enjoying some relief now, but when I start paying arrears, it's likely to shake up a bit? Would it be fair?
But I want to also inform you that the government has its own style and approach. And they are obviously aware of a scenario that you are painting and will also have a game plan, a strategic approach, a mechanism, as it were, to ensure that there's no shortfall in the economy when they are spending or not. So we just have to give the government the benefit of the doubt. Apart from that, the talk about 24-hour economy, it's not too early to talk about that. Your comparison with the free SHS that was introduced by the previous government.
Not the two policies. No, not the two policies. The government's will, the energy with which, the temperature with which they campaign with it, and the year after that, measuring the deliverables. Not the same policies, because of course, you're not the same.
Of course, not the same. But again, the deliverables, talking about that in relation to the 24-hour economy. This will obviously require a very sober-minded, reflective approach so that you don't get it wrong.
One of the things that I find fascinating with political parties when they're campaigning is that the energy with which you campaign, when you're in power, you ask for more energy to be given to you. Because, of course, you know that the 24-hour economy will require this sober approach. It will require all of these. But you gave me the impression, as a journalist, that it is your top promise, and that's what you will be delivering. Of course, you didn't put timelines to it, but my expectations were quite high. That's all I am saying.
Your flagship program.
That's all I am saying.
I don't know why Dr. Dixon kept interjecting when others are speaking. When he's talking, everybody's quiet.
That's true. That's true. He has sealed his mouth. I would ensure that.
All right. So now, you're talking about a 24-hour economy. I do not think that the NDC during their campaign, gave the indication that within 1 year things should start rolling out, etc. And again, if people had that perception, then it is a wrong perception they had, because the NDC did not say that within 1 year, the 24-hour economy will be up and rolling. Clearly, it takes time.
Right.
And every reasonable mind knows too well that you cannot actually create all the necessary jobs, all the indicators being in place within a year, except you have a magic wand. Even not the almighty America can achieve that. And clearly we are seeing the signs of progress as far as that is concerned. And I'm very confident that in the coming year, by the close of the coming year, Ghanaians will have no reason to doubt, the talk about a 24-hour economy being really a reality. To again indicate clearly that today when you go out there and talk to ordinary Ghanaians, and we see a lot of interviews being conducted, and polls being conducted, and the indication and the reflection by the Ghanaian people is that this government is working.
Okay.
Things are improving compared to the previous government. So if we sit here and we try to live in denial of things not happening, it's unfortunate that we are being globalistic.
Okay.
We must not necessarily play the black propaganda in times like this. I think that this is a time that all of us as Ghanaians must have sober reflection and support the government for the good work that it's doing, so that we can move forward in tandem with the reality.
Okay.
Basically, that is what it is.
I'm coming back in studio. Dr. Adomako, please remove the tape from your mouth now. And then, are you excited about the VAT reforms that will be rolling up starting January 1? The government says that its core reason is to at least cushion the small businesses, at least from 200,000 to 750 is the minimum which you'd be paying VAT on.
Well, if you
your tax on, forgive me.
If you reduce VAT and then you give me tariffs increment in terms of my electricity usage and water drinking, invariably you are still not giving me enough disposable income.
But
so what they've been good at, like I said, is that they reduce the lever on one breath and then they increase it on the other. So
2024, in 2024,
Correct.
statutorily, we still had there were tariff increases, but VAT was still the same.
No, what I'm saying is that at this point, the increment in tariffs, which has been promised Ghanaians, is 9%. And the tax reduction by VAT is less than 9%. So that's why the TUCs and other people, entities are screaming that, listen, you've not increased my salary by 9%. And mind you, the reduction in VAT, I support it. It's fantastic. It appears good, but in the net value in terms of appreciation is not much. Mind you, you're being slapped with 1 cedi at the pump. Okay, that's one thing. So be mindful of that, because that gets all of us, regardless of the amount of driving you do. You are being hit with that, and it's been transferred on to passengers. As some of the people have said, that they are pleading with the government to talk to the drivers that when it gets to the evening when they are going home, they increase the cost. When it rains, they increase the cost. We can't live in a country where your pricing to Kaswa changes with the weather. That's unfortunate.
When we test the pulse of Ghanaians, the time that 1 cedi flat rate was introduced, even before it was passed, we asked them how they felt about it. Generally, we found out that the Ghanaian people were quite okay to pay that 1 Ghana cedi.
I think they should thank Afenyomark in for that.
Okay,
admittedly.
But we're concerned that so long as it was going to be used for the intended purposes,
admittedly,
if we keep our lights on.
The minority was very responsible with regards to that, because Afenyomark came out, though painfully, he came out and said that in the interest of Ghana, the 1 cedi was worth it. And I must say that the NDC did not extend that same goodwill to us when we introduced e-levy, which was far less than this 1 cedi. So I think that, it is good to have a responsible opposition most times. And I pray that in the coming months, the MPP will work out to be a very good, formidable opposition party to keep the NDC, on with their commitment to Ghanaians. And you see, I think Doc Kwashiga keeps reminding us about, reality. My job is to remind the government of the promises they made. So my reminding doesn't mean that I'm not, aware of my environment. And I'll beg him to appreciate the fact that as a true Ghanaian or a nationalistic person, it is important that the NDC's commitment to Ghanaians, for which we voted for them, let me put that in context, because right now the mandate is in their hands. And my work is to demand from them what they promised.
Okay.
And it is interesting that today he's telling me that there should be sober reflection, just as they will tell us that Galamsey should be sober reflection, but many people are dying from the illegal mining. There's no sober reflection about that. What they promised us was that they'll finish and end Galamsey quick.
Okay.
These were some of the promises.
Well,
are we seeing that now? No, these were some of the promises.
The first time I didn't see him coming to end. You know? He just ended on me.
So I think that kudos to the NDC with the VAT relief, except for the fact that we're paying more for electricity soon.
Okay, Dr.
We're paying more for water.
Obviously, taxes just to make some revenue, get some money. But what's the true political will behind this?
I mean, it's basically to give relief to especially small businesses. Now, the VAT rate has dropped from 21.9 to 20%. And what it seeks to do by dropping the threshold from 200, increasing it from 200 to 750,000, what it means is that companies that in the past would normally be paying VAT would not necessarily have to pay, and therefore they can reinvest those funds into their business, grow it, and employ more people. So for me, I think that alone, it makes a lot of sense to me. Beyond that, I think we need to put it in perspective. This whole VAT discussion has come up because it's been abused over time, undervaluation, under invoicing, and leakages that have occurred in terms of VAT. Now, today, the government, having realized all these issues around VAT, is coming up with a policy basically to help to streamline the whole VAT discussion. Today, apart from reducing from 21.9 to 20, the threshold also going up, we are also looking at how we are going to collect the VAT and also employ the use of technology to help us to be able to monitor and enhance compliance. So those are the main issues. So today, if you listen to what the Ministry of Finance is saying, they are saying they are going to introduce a fiscal, electronic device. That device is basically going to help in terms of compliance and also monitoring, so that they can be able to tell how much is being collected at any point and be able to use that in terms of planning and budgetary purposes. And for me, I think that is a great thing. Another area that we are looking at is a lot of entities that operate or provide services in Ghana are not necessarily taxed. The likes of Amazon, the likes of this movie industry, Netflix, yes. You know, they basically pay something to Ghana, but however, there's no data to support the payment they are making. That's why government is saying that we need to employ the use of technology to help us to track how much services they are providing in Ghana to the extent that we can tax them appropriately. And it is, well, yes, well, you can add that if that helps.
When do we have to put the tape back?
So I mean, all these are measures basically to help in terms of revenue mobilization for government. And I think that it's not only that, but if you go even into the budget, right, the government said that in terms of the import declaration forms, there was a big issue. 30 billion worth of foreign currency were taken out of this country, and it could not be traced. The country lost on undervaluation 11 billion Ghana cedis. And all these are foreign exchange that moved the NPP's, currency depreciation to almost 16 to 17%. But they forget that this exchange rate that happened is as a result of inefficiencies in the management of the economy. I hope you get my point. So I think that this VAT discussion, it's a very positive one. We've identified the issues around it. We are putting in place measures to help it. And another thing, incentives are going to be provided for people who pay VAT. So if I come to your shop and I pay VAT, right, I have my receipts. I can get. No, sorry, no. So I can go to GRA, show my receipt, these are what I've paid. I can get incentives on that. So if you go and present, what do you call it, VAT invoices that are lower than what you gave me, you'll be exposed. So that incentive is there for people to know that it is healthy to pay because it benefits Ghana and eventually benefits you as a person. And also it checks the person who is collecting the VAT and refusing to pay because he doesn't think that you, the consumer, would submit your invoices for.
I'm going to spend the last few minutes with you, Dr. Adomako, particularly on Dr. Brian Champong. I'm quite curious. How was he explaining to delegates the current economic situation, particularly because he was part of the previous government? What does he tell them? Well,
let me say categorically that Dr. Brian Champong was Minister for Agric at the tail end of our government. And he joined just about over 12 months in that ministry. But one of the topmost things that we can say that it happened during his time was the increment in gold prices for farmers, in the sense that they benefited in that jump from, I think, 2000. Cocoa prices, sorry. I've been doing gold board stuff. So in the history of Ghana, one minister of Agric whose tenure we can say that cocoa farmers really had an increment in terms of how much they could get from selling their cocoa beans was during his tenure. With regards to the many ministries, he can't answer, for instance, for environment, neither can he answer for finance.
But his policies do not sit outside of the bigger picture.
No, you're asking me, so I'm just narrowing it down to where what he was responsible for largely. And then mind you that one of his challenges during that time was food price changes. And I can admit that when he came on board, food pricing was a bit more stable compared to before, where we're having fluctuations. Admittedly, in conjunction with the change in prices in the country, with inflation changing. And let's be mindful that inflation had dropped from 50s to the 20s during that time. Whether good or bad, I think that
there was a drop.
There was a drop. In addition, I think that one of the key reasons for his coming, which we share with delegates, is the fact that the results were quite bad. And in terms of our 2024 vote fortunes. And for that reason, he felt strongly that for our party to make gains from our 2 billion deficit, he stands tall to help us show up our numbers, our likability as a party, our favorability in terms of candidature needs to be improved. And we must admit that it was largely governance and also candidature. And you can't separate the two. We felt that though governance contributed to our losses, the candidature also had its issues. And for that matter, we feel strongly that bringing a youthful, more resourceful candidate.
So he's not pursuing continuity. Is he pursuing a total breakaway from the ADS period of the NPP?
In fact, every leader comes with a different, ideology. He has a lot of business experience and political experience, as well as the academic prowess that he brings to the table. And I think that he's a very fair-minded person, very bold, and he's very deliberate in his actions. And I think that would, really instill more discipline in our party because also of his past military experience. And these are the key reasons why I think that his coming will be very useful for us. Now, it so happens that sometimes, presidency is a package. And when people are not happy with the package, they want the entire package to be gone. And what I mean by that is that they box the president and the vice president together. and it's very difficult to delineate, or as it is, remove yourself as a vice president of a presidency from all that happened. Well, now, in summary, okay. I think that our elections will be on the 31st. 31st, yeah. The NDC is quite excited to see how it goes. We are also very excited, and we're hopeful that a vote for Dr. Brian Champon is a vote to bring the party together. The two titans are making it quite difficult. Their followers have entrenched positions, and we cannot make it with one half off. We need the two halves. And for that reason, I think strongly that a vote for Dr. Brian Champon is a vote to bring the party together beyond January 31st. Okay. Because if not, there's going to be major disaster for our party.
Well, we're wrapping the news review. Dr. Koino, usually I'll say that NDC for Yana Mundi Mufiasep. This is not your house matter, so I won't bring it to your table.
They need a opposition party.
So just for 30 seconds to just
whoever is vying for the highest position in the land, we need to be able to vouch. And without sounding like campaigning for somebody else, I think I want to salute the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Poku, Honorable. You have moved, contribution to GDP from 2.9% to 6.3%. I think that is unprecedented. And if you look at the contribution of food in the inflation basket, that is the reason why today you are seeing inflation at 6.3%. So he's done quite a lot of work. Okay. And that also translates to exchange rate as well. So agriculture is very key. So anybody who handles that portfolio, we need to watch that person well. Okay. Well,
Richard, just 30 seconds. New Year messages?
Thank you very much. And to wish the people of Ghana well, let me also take the opportunity to commend the MPP for preparing itself for gearing up to elect a flag bearer. I wish all of the aspirants very well, even though we know some of us are very confident that they will continue to be where they are, that is opposition after 2028. However, we need a very viable, vibrant, and united opposition in order to be able to keep the checks and balances within the ecosystem up and alive. And on that note, I wish the Ghanaian people very well. Happy New Year in advance, especially to our indefatigable leader and president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and the great team that he has assembled, as it were, to shore up the forward march of Ghana and to take us to heights that we've always dreamt of. Right. On that note, I wish those of you at Joy FM also a Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you, Richard. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Happy New Year to you as well.
Lovely pink dress.
Oh, you got the color right. He rehearsed it.
Lovely pink.
Well, stay. Let's talk about the energy sector and as well some legal issues that happened in 2025. Stay with us.